Hey everyone, it's VM Campos Comic Book Fan. Welcome to another episode of the weekly VM Campos Comic Book Club. For the free audio version of the podcast, head on over to your favorite podcasting apps, search VM Campos, and subscribe. This is the series where I review a comic book, new or old, from my collection for the following 5 dimensions on a scale of 1 to 5: the cover art, interior art, plot, and enjoyability of the comic book. Now, spoiler alert, I will be going through the various pages of this comic, and it is a recent one, so you are always encouraged to buy the books that I review. Head on over to your favorite local comic shops. Support them, support the creators and the companies. It's really worth it. This week I'm reading Read Only Memories, number 1, published by IDW in 2019. First of all, a little background information. I didn't know anything about this comic when I saw it on the shelves, but the reason that I bought it, and I'll get into it in detail as I get to that section, was the cover. The cover is this beautiful, pixel cover, like an 8-bit pixel cover, and I really like that aesthetic because I grew up with this kind of style of artwork in video games, like low quality but still beautiful artwork that was in a limited color palette. And so, based on the other things on the shelves, this really stood out to me, and I'm like, yeah, I want to get that. I don't know what this is about, but it looks pretty cool. This character with a big old gun, and there's like a noir background, and okay, I'll check it out. After buying the book and doing a little bit of research, I see that this is based on the video game 2064, Read Only Memories. Is a continuation of that sort of plot in that world. So that's all I really know about the book, and also the creators. I didn't really know them. But I thought, it's sometimes cool to get comic books that you're not too familiar with and see where they go. Alright, let's start with the cover. The cover art, again, it's this beautiful pixelated 16-bit or 8-bit style of art. This is by Neo Fotisto as the artist. This is one of the variant covers. It's cover B. Cover A is by the regular artist, Simeon. But I went with this one because this is a little bit more my aesthetic, and I really like it. It just feels like a classic video game. And just because it pulls upon my feels, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5. We've got this character, we've got these lines that converge upon where the character is standing, we've got a cityscape, some robots, a mysterious lady, our main character with a big old gun, cool shadows and such. It's a great, cyberpunk, future noir sort of style. And the pixelation of the text, I love that. So it would have just been the icing on the cake if also the IDW logo was in a pixelated style, but you can't win them all. So 5 out of 5 on this cover. Interior art is by Stefano Simeon, and it's like this beautiful color palette and shots of the year 2067, Santa Cruz, California. There's just a lot of beautiful colors in pinks and purples, just an oversaturation of these colors. It's beautiful. The anatomy of the characters, it is mannered, but still pretty realistic. There are wonderful close-up shots of the main character, Lexi. Her eyes when she does a little bit of espionage. There's a great panel on that. There's beautiful open panels. There's half-tone dots and gradations and just a lot of great use of color. When she's out in the streets, the dark back alleys look really dark, really interesting. When she's in the luminous nightclubs and such, that looks amazing as well. There's some rain with some just beautiful streaks of color. There's some expressions when a little robot seems surprised. There's sort of these action lines. So the interior art is also amazing. I love it. It's a 5 out of 5. There's just a variety of panels that really guide your eye and the action to what's going on. Close-ups of people with their expressions, shots that are from a distance. There's a page with a rapid succession of small panels where there's a conversation back and forth where the robot is getting grilled or interviewed by Lexi to gather information. So it's really good interior art. Again, the contrast between the interiors that are dark and the exteriors that are bright is really nice. There's always luminous screens all over the place. Very high-tech, very futuristic. It doesn't seem like one of these dystopic futures that everyone loves to read about. I'm kind of tired of them. There is an edge to the visuals here. It is futuristic and such, but not like dystopic, not at least in issue number 1 that I read here. So we'll see how it goes in the future. There's one more spread that is just like so beautiful in tones of pink and purple when Lexi flirts with Mahita, one of the first sapient robotic android beings. It's just the flirtiness is going on, and so there's a lot of beautiful pink purple tones with some white accents, a little bit of black. So beautiful interior art. The plot is also pretty enjoyable. Here we've got Sina Grace doing the story, and it's great world building. Again, I had not heard anything about this comic or played the game, but I get a sense that this is the future. Lexi is an undercover reporter / detective. She's first checking on a possibly cheating wife. That turns out to be a dead end, which then goes into the larger plot of a robot who is missing her husband, and then she has to go track that robot down. So great world building, great internal monologue. Lexi does a lot of internal monologue to kind of explain things. It's just the perfect classic hard-boiled detective noir pulp stories of the 40s and the 50s. There's this detective trying to solve the crime, and they are constantly thinking about things, letting the narrator, being a narrator and letting you know more that's going on than what the people in the story see. This book actually has 2 stories, Valentine's Day by Sina Grace and Stefano Simeone, and then Mermaids Don't Cry by Mary Kenny and Christina Antoinette Neofotisto. That other story is in the style of the 8-bit stuff, so it's really jarring to see a much more realistic beginning story, the visuals of that one compared to the other story, but it feels like a little video game. I appreciate that. I felt that story was lacking something. Maybe that one is much more tied to what the video game was about. So self-contained, I don't think that one worked as well. But the main story was great. I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5 because I can't wait to see where else it continues. I'm in for it. I want to see what's happening in the far-flung future of the year 2067 in Santa Cruz, California. The enjoyability of the book is also pretty high. And it wasn't the sort of depressing cyberpunk dystopia that you always see. Maybe that'll happen on subsequent issues, who knows. But so far I've been enjoying it in terms of characterization, caricature of the cartoons, scenery. The plot is interesting. We've got AI, intelligent, sapient machinery, and how do they coexist with humanity. Lexi makes a note that we're surprised that the robot uprising hasn't happened yet. Is that any foreshadowing, maybe? I always like to look at the technology and things and looking at the scenery about what's in the background, and there's a lot of attention to detail that I really appreciate. So the enjoyability was also very high. I'll give it a 5 out of 5. I recommend the book so far. It just started, so it's a great time to jump on and read Read Only Memories. So this week I read Read Only Memories, number 1, published by IDW in 2019. So once again, if you'd like to listen to the podcast on the go, head on over to your favorite podcasting apps, Google Play, Spotify, Pandora, etc. Search VM Campos and subscribe. I'd really appreciate that. Or head on over to Patreon, patreon.com/VM Campos. You can follow for free and keep up to date with all of the things that I do regarding comic books, cosplay, Comic-Con, magic, etc. for free. At the $1 tier, you'll really help out the show, keep it funded, keep it going. At the $2 tier, I will actually mail you a comic book from my collection as thanks for being a patron. If you can't pledge at the moment, no worries. Like, subscribe, follow, all that good stuff. It really helps. In any event, this week I read Read Only Memories, published by IDW in 2019. This has been the weekly VM Campos Comic Book Club, and I'll see you next week.